All right, I'm here with Rob, one of our developers, and we're recording this because we are trying to share a process with you where we're going to build a simple web application for one of our clients using some AI tools, and we thought it would be cool to share that with you. Um, so to start, what are we trying to build? We're trying to build a responsive web application that's basically a dashboard for creators and influencers and they want to be able to see who is interacting with their content, how much money they're making. They want to be able to filter results. There's going to be different pages. There's going to be a home page with some stats and a My Posts page with some stats, and then a My Collectors page and a My Collections page. And this will all start making more sense to you as we get in here. And then the client wants the ability to export the results as CSVs. There's kind of going to be a card to prompt the creator to sign up for Stripe to get payouts. And then there will be basic things like notifications and logging in and logging out. And as I already mentioned, all this is going to be responsive. So the client wants this done really quick, and it doesn't have to look super polished because it's kind of a back end tool for creators. Um, so we're not going to custom design it. We're just going to whip it up using some AI tools. So, Rob, if you want to go ahead and share your screen and maybe give us a brief intro into the AI tools we're going to be using to do this, and then we'll just dive right into getting it done.
Sure. Just give me one sec. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So the tool we're going to use today is called V0. This is kind of like an AI super coding assistant that can help you with all kinds of things. One thing it's really good for is just answering questions in general about whatever tech stack you might be using. And the other thing it's really good at is actually generating workable and clean code for components and pages that you might want to build. It's been trained on the most popular frameworks, so React, Vue, all those are supported. And the most surprising thing, I think, is that it spits out clean code that you can actually just stick right into your project and have it work mostly without fuss. So we're going to start today by generating a dashboard. The requirements to us were we need a dashboard. So let's see what VO can spit if we just ask for make me a dashboard. So by default, it's going to return code in React, which we are using, and it's using a component library called shadcn. Normally, if we were designing something from scratch, we'd be using our own components. But again, like Ali mentioned, for this particular project, we can use shadcn components, which are perfectly adequate.
And it's already showing us revenue, subscriptions, sales. We haven't given it any context about what we actually want, and it's doing surprisingly well. Whoops.
Okay, let's try that again. Okay, let me refresh the page. So it seems like there's no menu on the left-hand side.
Yeah, I like put space in there for the menu, but it didn't actually create
Yeah.
it. So let's ask it for a menu.
Now, since this was the first generation of this chat with V0, it also gave us some instructions on how we can take the code that it gave us and just easily install it in one line right into our project. Well, I guess we can continue.
Yeah, one thing I'm noticing here is I know they wanted all this and the client wanted all this in dark mode. Why don't we ask to just kind of render everything in dark mode? Yeah. Um, so they're using Tailwind dark mode
Right.
classes.
Yeah, so for the CSS styling, it's using Tailwind. and Tailwind does make it really easy to add dark mode. The hard part about dark mode in general is picking the colors and making it look pleasing. Okay, so it looks like V0 added this toggle.
It added a toggle. Okay, that's cool.
And it does.
What happens when you like, yeah, click a drop down on hover states? All right, that's looking all right. Okay,
Yep.
that's a good starting point. Um, okay, let's maybe give it kind of so what we know we want multiple pages, right? So we want a home page, my posts, my collectors, and my collections. Do we want to maybe create those pages and then we can kind of start modifying the home page from there?
Yeah. So V0 does give all the code in one file. And so when we're working with multiple pages, the flow is usually to tell it to extract certain components or certain pages into separate files. But there is an option to fork this chat so we can keep it. So up here, if we click fork, if we're happy now with this, call it the home page of the dashboard, we can fork this chat.
Hmm,
So now
cool.
we have a snapshot of the previous state, and now we can say, okay, get rid of the home page and let's make whatever page we want to make.
Okay, well, maybe let's go back and start modifying the home page, and then we can fork it.
Okay.
So on the home page, cool, it's got some cards here. What they want is they want one of the cards to be total posts. So why don't we just kind of give it some instructions here? We want total posts, we want total collectors. They wanted lifetime earnings, and they wanted kind of a member since card that just shows the date that they kind of signed up.
Okay.
Yeah, let's try that. Cool.
Okay. And let's just clean it up a bit by getting rid of overview and recent sales.
Yeah, great. They don't want that. All right. What else do we know that they want? We know we already, it looks like it already created kind of log in, log out through the profile icon, and there was a notifications icon there at the top.
Mm-hmm.
I know they also wanted an export CSV, although I'm not sure, would that live on the home page, do you think, or would that just be on the other pages?
I think this would be on the pages that shows any kind of table.
Right. So maybe we don't have that here for the home page. Okay. Um, great. I think this is a good dashboard. We still don't have the menu sorted out. Why don't we give the menu another shot at getting that to work?
Sure. So I'm going to say when I click the hamburger icon, I don't see a menu.
Yeah, one of the things that's cool is you can kind of just describe problems. You don't even necessarily have to tell it what to do. And in theory, it's going to fix it for us. We'll see if this actually works. Well, we can figure that out later. Why don't we, I feel like we can fork this now and try and create one of the pages with an actual table so that we
Okay.
can get just kind of all the core functionality down and then we can figure out how to tweak the menu later.
Okay. So maybe my
So, should we do like my posts?
that's
So the my posts page, basically it's going to be they want a table. Um, And the table needs to have the following columns. So each row in the table is a post. But let's define the columns. Or maybe, yeah, just say that. So the columns are date, price, number of collected, and earnings. So for each post, you can see when it was posted, the price of the post, the number of people that collected it, and then the amount of earnings that you made on the post. Let's see how it does with that.
Should there be a placeholder image for the post?
Yeah, that's a good idea. And then we can actually pull like the thumbnail from the database. I like that.
Okay.
One of the things I'm curious is if it's gonna give us any sort of filtering right away, given we're asking for a table, if we're gonna have to
Mm,
request that.
I suspect we'll have to ask for it.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Great. So yeah, this is what we want. So okay, let's give it some more kind of bulleted instructions here. So we want the export as CSV button above the table.
Okay.
What else do we want? We want a way to filter posts.
Okay. On which columns do you think we should be able to filter?
Hmm. Um, I guess we should be able to filter by like date, price, number of collected, and earnings.
Okay.
Curious what it'll give us there. If it'll give us like the proper less than equal to, greater than equal to, or
Hmm.
what. Um, what else do we want? Um,
Do we want to sort the table when you click on one of the headings?
that would be nice. Yeah, let's ask for that.
Okay.
And then with that one, I'm curious if it gives us the little kind of like up down triangle, so it
Mhm.
we know which way it's sorted, or if we're gonna have to ask for that explicitly. Let's see. Yeah, let's see how that goes.
There's a lot of moving parts in this request.
Yeah, curious to see if it gets all this right. Ooh, look at that. We got a nice button. Curious to see how those filters actually work.
Mhm.
Oh, getting some errors.
So it looks like it's trying to pull in some modules
I see.
to do the CSV export, and that might be causing errors. So in cases like this, I would probably rely on myself to write the code that exports to CSV, so we can just
Yeah,
ask V0 to replace it with a blank function.
that makes sense.
Now I know that V0 does have the ability to pull in external modules, but depending on the complexity of the module and the initialization of each one, it might not know exactly how to set it up properly.
Yeah, I mean, it's very cool that it's attempting to install them though.
Hmm. Okay, so
All
that
right.
works.
So what do these filters do? They're just input fields. Okay. Huh. But it is actually working. That's cool. Um,
Looks like
so
it's exactly matching.
yeah, interesting. So yeah, I think those need some work.
Hmm.
Um, I think uh yeah, how would we go about this? Do we want to just kind of ask it or to generally make yeah, let's make some suggestions. Maybe filter by date should be like a date picker where you can select a to and from date or a start
Okay.
and end date rather. Filter by price. Maybe it should be kind of like less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. I don't know. How do you think that should work?
Yeah, it does make sense to have some comparison operators in there. So,
I think price and earnings, right?
yeah,
Both
that
of
makes
them.
sense. Maybe even collected.
Yeah, right. You might want to do anything greater than 50. Yeah, that makes sense. And can you sort the rows by clicking on the headers? Oh, it did do that. Okay. Um, maybe we can
Hmm.
ask the kind of triangle icon to always be visible.
I think it's called a caret.
Yeah,
Is that how it's spelled?
sort. I don't know.
Sort icon.
Yeah, I think it'll figure out if we say sort icon. All right.
Okay, and then I think people are going to expect to filter by price as a number instead of $
Yeah,
10.
yeah, definitely. I mean, same with number of collected. Well, that one is probably doesn't require a dollar sign right now, right?
Yep.
I wonder if another instruction we could give it here. You already submitted. That's
All
fine.
right.
I don't love how the kind of default text in the text field is being cut off.
Right. Yeah, we can do a polish pass afterward.
Yeah. Ooh, look at that. I see some operators.
Hmm. And I think now, at least for myself as a developer, I'm starting to hit the limits of my design capabilities. To me, this is functional. I know it could be improved, so I think I'd have to hand it off to a designer at this point to give me some feedback on how I could move these filters around just to make them look better.
Yeah, but this has all the functionality that the client is wanting. Um, it's trying to, is it trying to install some sort of date picker? What is it doing here?
So it's telling us that the date picker with range is assumed to be available in your project.
Okay.
That's not the case. Let's see if it can do something on its own. It could be the case that the default date picker component that's available in ShadCN doesn't allow date range.
Hmm.
Maybe that's why it decided to assume that we have it, but we'll see. Oh, so I think it just implemented the component separately now.
Oh, interesting. Click on it. Let's see how that works, though.
Uh, is it done?
Okay.
It
It
might
kind
still
of implemented it. It's interesting. Why do you think it chose to just give us that single component?
because I told it, can you please implement it?
Hmm.
And I didn't say maybe in my page.
Yeah, yeah. Fun.
Let me try
Yeah,
editing my
let's just
prompt.
try it again. Maybe you could say like, can you instead use or something?
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, it's nice that I can easily go back to any previous state and
Right.
nothing's even lost.
Okay. Still having problems with the date picker, huh?
Hmm.
Interesting. So it's just giving us a start date and end date. Can you actually? Okay.
Yeah,
That
I'm sure if I
seems, that's, it's not the most graceful way to do it, but it's functional. Um, okay. So I think from here, what we would do is we would fork all these pages for the other pages. Basically, the My Collections page and the My Collectors page is just another table, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
So we would just fork these pages. We still need to fix the menu.
Mhm.
I think we need a little bit of polish on some of these input fields, but um, yeah, maybe we can just talk about now, Rob, how we're going to actually integrate this with our code base and our database for the client so that this is actually real data. Can you just maybe talk a little bit about that?
Right. So we saw a little bit of it earlier with the calendar. Right now, V0 has given this entire page in a single file. And so now we have to basically split it up, extract what we need, and put in our code in the right places. So for example, this navigation bar and the header at the top, that's going to go in a separate file that's going to apply to every single page of the dashboard. And then what's contained inside this table and the filters, that's going to go into potentially a separate folder. And then maybe even each of these components could be split up further from there. So once
Yeah.
we have the separate components, it's a matter of literally copying and pasting the code into our code base. And then instead of using the dummy data, which it helpfully included, we hook up a few backend calls that fetches data from our database. It's basically plug and play from that point.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, let's do a little editing magic here. And what we're going to do here is we're going to pause this recording and then we're going to come back and show you guys what the final product actually looked like.
All right.
All right, here we are with the final product that we actually delivered to the client. Rob, why don't you just take us through what we're looking at here?
Sure. So this is that first homepage that we just finished designing. Um, I've implemented this notifications bell, which pulls notifications from the backend. We've got some stats here, which are again being pulled from our database. We've got all the different pages again hooked up. It's just a matter of creating a query to pull all the columns that we need and then sending it off to the front end and massaging the data a tiny bit. The
Yeah,
filters,
then you can go ahead and let's look at the how what we did with filters.
yeah, I thought we could move it to the top, separate it into its own little box, give it some styling to and make it collapsible. Most importantly, not everybody might want to use these filters. And yeah, everything is hooked up and working as expected.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we did some kind of editing here. I'm curious, Rob,
Mhm.
the client wanted this really quickly. They didn't really care that much about what it looked, so we're not using kind of any custom components that we've designed. How long did this take you approximately from kind of the process that we started with to this? And how long do you think it would have taken if we had actually had to design and implement it fully custom ourselves?
So I would say full time, it took about 4 days to get the entire dashboard, the layout, all the pages, and all the different components ready. If I had to implement this myself from scratch, oof, this would easily be easily weeks, if not closer to maybe 2 months of work.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a really good example of if you're willing to make some compromises on look and feel. For something like this, it's a perfect app for using AI tools because this isn't consumer facing to many people. A small number of creators are using this within the PopSet app, and it doesn't need to look and feel perfect. So I think we did a great job here, and the client ended up saving a bunch of money. And we got to experiment playing around with some AI tools.
Yeah, it's great.
Awesome. Well, anything else you want to add, Rob, about just how this process went down?
Um, there's a whole side that I haven't shown that has to do with hooking up the data, and AI is also very powerful there because we've constructed our projects so that we can easily feed the database structure to the AI. And so if we ever need something like, let's say, populating data that will fit in this table, because it has the structure already, we can again ask the AI to generate a query that will get all the columns that we need, and what would normally have taken maybe half an hour can now take a few seconds.
Awesome. Great. Well, yeah, thanks for showing us how to do this, Rob. And yeah, hopefully we're going to be using AI tools a lot more in the future.
Good to hear.
All right. Bye, everyone.